Hi guys, it is the very first edition of the Real Talk podcast, proudly brought to you by CMAX. I am Naomi, and beside me I have my co-host.
Jules.
Welcome, Jules. Good morning. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
Good morning, Naomi. I'm very well. Are you?
I'm okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I love your dress.
Thank
So
you. You don't
simple.
look bad either.
Thank you.
So we both welcome you to this very first episode of the Real Talk podcast. I know you must be wondering what the Real Talk podcast is all about. Well, here in the Real Talk podcast, we talk about critical topics that circles around real life experiences, delving from technology, business, and what is happening in our lives today. Which brings us to today's topic.
The gospel cake.
Okay.
The gospel cake. So the gospel cake is basically about faith, about music and money, and how this is essential in the body of Christ.
Okay.
Now, you could agree with me that before now, majorly the music ministry has been something that is of pure service to God. You know, you are coming to worship God. You know, this is a gift the Lord has embedded you with, and you are using it to serve Him.
True.
But in our generation today, we've made this to look like a transactional gift, like it's business,
Like
where
business.
you have to have a certain demand and expectation before
Gig-like.
you go out to minister to people or to churches. And basically, I think we mix this thing with honorarium and the cost and the price tag. But whereas honorarium is kind of what the church wants to give to you willingly, voluntarily as you service.
Okay.
Now, we are not even going towards honorarium. We are in a way looking for the cost, the price tag.
price
More
tag.
like me asking you that before I come to your church, before I come to your church, these are the basic requirements
For me to perform
Yes,
the
exactly.
church.
Do you get? Whereas in building, these
not
things
like
are not
that.
even things we get to hear of. So basically, that's going to be our discussion for today, the gospel gig.
Well, of course, we are not disputing the fact that gospel ministers and pastors shouldn't be paid for their work.
Yeah.
And that brings me to today's today's first question. Do you think that they will still be able to perform if they are not being paid?
Well. Of course.
You think so?
Because yes, of course. Because before now, where our forefathers, our fathers of faith that are gospel ministers,
Okay.
how were they able to survive? How were they able to keep the ministry flowing till now?
Okay.
Was it something that has been a transactional cost, or it's a voluntary service to God? Because these things are just like we are just getting to hear of it now.
Okay.
It has never been an issue over time that you get to know that, okay, before this popular musician comes to your church, these are the basic requirements. These are
For
the
them
necessary
to
requirements
come.
for them to come. Do you get? We never had those issues, but
Yeah.
recently, so of course they could survive. Now, I want to take us back to the scriptures when God gave different duties to the children of Israel,
All right.
to the Israelites, and He specifically appointed the Levites to serve in the church, to serve in the temple, right? And they are not supposed to work.
Okay.
They're not supposed to carry on any activities. And how were they expected to survive?
to survive based on the wanted of
Good. So
the tithes.
tithes were being paid to them. So that is their own means of survival.
Okay.
Whereas they were not working. So I think we are not taking a side anyway, but I think we should dissect and ask ourselves these questions. Are you into full-time ministry, into full-time music ministry, or it's a gifting? Full-time music ministry, in a sense that you are taking it as a profession. Maybe you studied music and you advance in it, and probably you are surviving on it. But I think that's what the secular musician does, not in the body of Christ. You know, secular musician, we are not that's not our bone of contention. But you agree with me that these guys are actually, that is their primary source of income.
But you can agree with me that you referenced those days, back in those days. You can agree with me that conditions then, like they were the economy then was
Yeah,
not
the
as
economical factor too
yes,
was not as hard and
high
harsh as this.
as it is now. And the
When we're
fact,
talking about, sorry to cut you, when we're talking about the gospel,
okay,
are we supposed to be scared of the condition of our economy?
we should not be, but that is why I do not always argue the fact that pastors or ministers should have what they like, what to do, their own profession. because first off, they are humans before they are being called pastors. Because there's this debate that pastors should not work, they should solely serve God. No, I feel they should have their own profession. And when a person has his or own profession, I feel discussions like this will be avoided.
Okay. I think also when we talk about that being fully engaged in the ministry, is that ministry can be so demanding for pastors.
Okay.
So imagine you are a pastor or you're married to a pastor and you are keeping a side job 9 to 5, and then you're a pastor. I know most persons are doing that. Do you get?
True.
And you're expected to be in your office from 9 to 5 p.m. And probably on Wednesday you have a midweek service that starts by 5 p.m. So you're expected to also be in church by 5 p.m. So you are working and then you also be in church by 5 p.m. to preach.
You should make sure that your profession is one that aligns with that aligns with the church. Like you shouldn't take a profession that that will take your time. Do you get it? It should be like something to support you financially. Because I know a pastor that owns a cyber cafe. He employs people to work for him, and he's still pastoring. He's still ministering. He pays people to work for him when he's not there, and when he's there, he goes. And when he's not like busy in the church, he goes to his office to work. You see, he's making his source of income and still serving God.
I think sometimes it will be quite distracting.
Yes,
it's quite distracting because there are different maybe pastors conference programs, events that you have to attend to. Okay, let's say imagine you have to travel for a ministers conference for 1 week.
Okay.
And you have a 9 to 5 job.
That is why it has to be your job. You shouldn't be employed. You should make it like it should be a job. It should be independent. It shouldn't be a job that you are being employed.
So that's also so you can't say that all pastors have to be independent, have to be entrepreneurs. Some persons have their career paths. I studied accounting and I want to grow on my career.
Okay.
Let's say I'm not saying that I'm not into ministry. No,
you
please.
Can still work on that.
No, that's
okay,
not.
So now
I'm not saying I'm a pastor. I have a calling.
Okay.
I don't have a calling. I'm not even going to have a calling. Okay. But let's say on the line that I now am practicing as an accountant and then at the same time a pastor. I have companies to audit. I have to travel for audit meetings and all that. And at the same time, I have to be ministers conference. So how do you expect me?
You should have people working for you, like I said.
I don't have the establishment on my own.
Okay, you are working under somebody.
Yes, so I'm working for a company. I'm also working in the church as a pastor. So I think this is why some ministries actually are of the opinion that their pastors should be full-time ministers without any other job. The fellowship I belong to on campus actually requires that all staffs, all pastors of the fellowship, you don't keep any other job.
Okay.
So your full-time ministry is just on campus and for this particular fellowship. Okay. Now, those guys don't have any other side gig. Okay. They don't have any other side business.
So how do you think they should be compensated for their work? How do they survive?
Paid.
They are being paid.
They are being placed on salary level.
Okay.
And it's the same organizational structure that the secular world takes in promotion and all that. That's what they follow. Okay. So it's more like an entry level. You enter and then there's a particular salary level that you are being placed on. You got promoted to another level. You got paid. So in that case, they are being paid, right?
They are being paid, okay.
Good. So at the end of the day, the whole ministerial gifts, and when it comes to gospel artists, I think we should also apply the same factor to gospel artists too.
Gospel artists. Okay, you know why there are some churches like Catholic Church now. Catholic Church is not owned by an individual, and there are some
and their priests, they don't pay them.
They don't pay them.
But do you know in Catholic Church?
I'm trying to point out something.
Okay.
Catholic Church now is not being owned by a person. It's being owned by it's not being owned at all by anybody.
Yeah.
But like there are some Pentecostal churches that are booming that are being owned by general overseer.
Exactly.
GO. So
exactly.
So in this case now. That GO now probably wants to go and perform in another place, like want to go and like minister or something, and this of outrageous fee, charging of outrageous fees, demanding luxury treatment comes in. Like that is where this argument is like,
Yeah,
coming up
that's-
from, because you can't say a priest is going out from a Catholic church to go to another place to go and minister.
Yeah.
No, they are not it's not that part of Christianity that we are talking about. So the
Yeah.
part of Christianity we are talking about now is that these GOs
monetizing the gospel
Thank
and making
you.
it look like these are the things that should be done before you can lift your feet out of your church to another church. Now, let's say for gospel ministers, for music artists in churches, that I think this case happened to a particular church named Withheld, and where most of the gospel artists were members of the church.
Of the
We're in the
church.
choir, and they grew from
they
the
grew
choir.
under the okay.
Do you get?
Yes.
They grew under the church and then eventually became popular. And then, as they now became popular, churches now started calling them. So now churches pay them to come for this, for ministration and all that. But then, when they are expected to come back to their church to minister, they now expect the church to pay them.
same.
So more like your parents, you are telling your parents
To pay me.
after you are being trained, and then your parents are asking you, maybe you're a medical doctor,
Okay.
and your parents train you to become a medical doctor, and then for you to offer any service to them, you're not telling them, I'm not a medical doctor, people pay me to offer this service. So for you to also benefit from this service, you have to pay me. So I think this particular pastor actually stopped them from ministering in the church.
And they had to pull out from the church.
And they have to pull out from the church.
I think I know who
remember
you're
the
talking
case.
about.
Yeah, sure, but let's not go there. So now I remember the
Okay.
case of Pastor Femi Lazarus.
Okay, yeah.
With all humility and then with all the issue back then that happened, where
That was just last month, I think.
yeah, was it last month or
Yeah,
a
it's
few
still
months
this
ago?
year.
Okay, yeah, this year, yeah. So where we saw an invoice of a music artist that. Did you see that?
I saw that. The luxury treatment. Like
Sometimes I begin to ask if God was partial for not even giving me this ministerial gift,
it's
because
like it's looking like a business store. Like
yeah, exactly.
to say that they ended the whole invoice with "God bless you." That was even what cracked
you get?
the pastor
Do you
up.
get?
God bless you.
So,
It's not.
so, but then I think for that particular person, we don't know who.
Yeah,
the
he
artist
with
is.
actually
But
withheld
I
the
think
names.
there are. Well, I say there are class and expectation to these things. Actually, do you get? Because there are kind of premium treatments you give to. See, let's not even be biased. There are kind of premium treatments we give to some artists when they come to our churches, which is quite different from what we give to other artists.
Other artists.
So I think for that particular person, he must have known his worth.
True.
He must have known before I can
But
come
it
here.
shouldn't
This
be
is
so. I mean, it's about the message, right?
oh yeah.
Should there be preferential treatment to some certain individuals because they are like perfect in ministering the word of God? I mean, this word is free. God called you to minister to the people.
But-
So why?
Right? Do you remember giving honor to whom honor is due?
Yeah, you give honor to whom honor
Yeah,
is
so
due.
give
Yes.
honor to whom honor is due. And probably everybody, I think Pastor Reverend Dr. Omokbai will always say that we are all believers, but we are not in the same category of grace. Like, do you get? There are classes to grace that we have. So I just want to apply that to this too.
this,
That
right.
there are categories of grace that you have. You cannot bring. I'm being
There
tempted
is
to
no
mention
way.
different classes of gospel ministers, but I'm trying to withhold that pressure. Now, Jara, let's say both of us we are gospel ministers, and you're international, and I'm not local, but I'm just within a particular vicinity.
Okay.
And both of us have been invited to come minister in a church. Now, the preference they give to you will be different from mine.
That is it.
That's because you've built yourself, you've grown, you know your worth.
There is no way a church or an organization will invite a minister from abroad to come and minister without like making our resources for them to like accommodate the person. No, it's now you that is the minister or the pastor that will be like that will have high expectations. You know, if you have high expectations, that is where the like argument comes in. demanding, telling them that if I don't fly first class, I'm not coming to minister for you. If you don't pay me so amount of money, I'm not coming. No, but if you ask, like, if you allow people to, like, welcome them the way they want to welcome them according to their means, I feel they will obviously do well in, like, accommodating them the way they should be accommodated.
With all sincerity, it's not all churches that can do that.
You feel they will invite a minister from let's say America, and they will come and ask the person to come and sleep in the same room with them? No, now they will make provisions.
With all sincerity, it's not all church that have standard. Do you get? So I just believe that if you are not capable of hosting these guests properly the way they should, then leave them and use your own church choir. Use people around you that you can pay good honorarium to. Right? Okay. Now let's use Experience. Experience is an annual music concert for December every year, right? Now, you could agree with me that the guests they bring outside the country for Experience and the cost of bringing them is entirely different from the guests they use in Nigeria.
Okay.
Let's say they are bringing in Don Moen from the US, right? Okay. For Experience. Now, the cost of his international flights, the cost of hosting him in Nigeria, everything entirely is different. They won't spend that much in bringing in, with all humility, let's say Mercy Chinwo.
Okay.
Yeah, do you get? Now, the classes differs. So I think for this particular person that gave an invoice, I think probably
it's an international minister. That's what you think?
I don't think so. Maybe, but it should be for him to be requesting dollar, to be paid in dollar. You're in Nigeria and you have to be ministered in church, and you're requesting church to pay you in dollar. But let's even dissect. Church has money. Church has money.
Church has money.
I get why
we don't even want to go there.
Okay.
Because if we go in that direction, let me not go there.
Okay.
Let me not. They used to move. Let me not go there.
Let's. But, okay. I get.
Let me not go there. Okay. Right. So when Pastor Femi came out to say that, one man came out. He came out to like counter him.
Counter it,
and he was like telling him that you charge $150 for your school.
Funny enough,
international.
I even applied for that ministerial school.
Oh, you
that
did?
Ministerial school.
You have money.
Calm down now. You should ask me if I'm done with it. Calm down. But then, I think that's entirely different. This is a school.
Okay.
This is a ministerial school, school of ministry, and then you are training people. It's different if you are running a music school.
A music school.
So there's a name tag to this. I am coming to a school. You pay application fee, right? Okay. You pay for tuition fee.
And it's international.
It's international, yeah. And then there's even categories to it. There's premium and the normal. Now that is a school. So with all humility, you're expected to charge. Except maybe it's a calling. It's God's God placed it in your heart that you should run this school free. But for the fact that, do you train your children in school free? You don't, right?
No, I don't.
So you pay, right? Okay. So this is the same thing. So if music ministers are coming on board as per we are opening a music school and then you have a fee to it, it's different. That is fee. Okay. But this is our service to God.
To God.
Excuse me. So this is our primary service to God. And you are asking that you be paid a certain amount of money. You be flew a certain class of flights, be lodged in first class and 5-star hotels before you can come and render this service to God.
To God.
So at what point is your worship now genuine and truthful to God? If these are the things we are offering. But okay, let's even not go international. Let's come down to our local churches.
Okay.
Our instrumentalists. Maybe the drummers, the keyboardists, badges. There are some times that these people goes to churches and then they leave their church. While on campus then, I remember this drummer that could attend like 3 churches every Sunday. 3 different churches every Sunday. And by the time he's coming back, he should have made up to 50K.
So he's not actually going to church on Sunday to serve God.
No, it's
Goes
business.
to-
So church is looking for a drummer who is coming to drum for us this Sunday. They call him Alpha. Are you available? What service? Second service. Oh yeah, I'm coming. He will come, play there. Once it's done,
These are
he's
the
back
things
to
we are
another
talking
church.
about.
But these guys need to survive, right? Right? They need to survive. So these are just basic things I think they do for survival. I think I've also encountered a certain person that said he's not playing in his church again. He's just a keyboardist.
I've had that experience.
Yes, he's not playing in his church again. He's a keyboardist, and then whenever they
always
want to
there.
have program, maybe annual convention or that, and then when they bring in other ministers and all that, they pay them. He now felt Abba. They pay these guys to come to his church
come
to
to
play.
church, and they
He
can't
has
pay
been
me.
playing this church for as long as it is. There's not even payments. They are not even supporting him. So at some point, he just felt, okay, guy, I need to survive.
Okay.
I need to meet some basic needs. And then he backed out. But then again, I believe these things are gifts, right?
They are gifts, yeah.
So what does the
But then-
scripture say about gifting?
What does he say?
About gifting. Should be gifting is to be used to edify the church, to edify the body of Christ. And I believe these are things that our forefathers have done in the olden days that, imagine Apostle Paul writing to the Corinthians church, to the church in Corinthians, that before he comes down to address a certain issue, you guys should make certain reservations for you.
Me, you book this for me.
Book ship for
And
me.
sometimes,
I'm coming
they
from
even-
Antioch to this place.
They even
like,
used to be very selective on places they perform. Like
Yeah,
they'll be
that's true.
who are my audience? Are they
That's
going
true.
to be politicians,
Yeah, that's
celebrities?
true. That's
who
true.
and who is going to be there?
That's
Oh,
true.
so it's just normal church member. I don't think I can perform there.
Yeah,
It happens.
That's when fame comes in too. So
It happens.
I just believe basically it's a thing of the heart.
Okay.
So God should judge and know this thing you are doing. What are you doing it for?
True.
What is pushing you? What is it passion to serve God, or you are using it as a means to an end? Because if it's a means to an end, of course, you will keep wanting to enrich yourself. Each day you are looking at what are the benefits, what are the costs of these things you are doing. But primarily, it's not even supposed to be that way.
True.
It's not even supposed to be that way.
It's not.
In the sense that, see, if Apostle Paul was really charging, that man would have been.
Do you know how many places he visited in the
good.
Bible?
That man
Do
would
you know
have
how many
been the
places he went
richest
to
preacher
in the world?
in the
But
world.
there is
He would
no
have
record in the
been-
Bible that he suffered.
He even said that he does not want to bother you guys with meeting his needs. So he will not even ask you guys for some certain things. But here we are in our generation making some certain critical demands. And we stand on it as you must meet these needs before I come to your church. That invoice we saw with that Pastor Femi Lazarus was talking about stated that you have to pay 50% of that amount before you even start coming down to minister. So you've not even started your service, and then we should pay you 50%.
And to say that there is no minister that came to debate or like try to defend themselves.
Well,
They were all just adamant. They were
Nigeria.
just quiet about it.
Nigeria, where everybody's playing
The only
safe.
person that came to say something came to counter him. He came to
Everybody's
fight him.
playing safe, because at the end of the day, if we are to dig this thing, you even find out that even our pastors,
Yeah, they are
everybody
all
are
guilty.
all guilty of this. So instead of me to be dragged, let me just pass. So it's just like I do not want these guys to now start pointing fingers at me. You did, because everybody have story in this country. Everybody have their story.
What he does.
But
But
let's
they are supposed to be like an example to us. I mean, if they are still failing on their own path, who is not going to help us? They are all there as our spiritual leaders, to help us. When we are failing on the secular part of life, they are supposed to be there. Can you even imagine that sometimes I want to be in the spirit? Like, okay, I heard this song, I heard like a part of it online. Okay, let me go online and search for it, and I'll come to AudioMac. Sorry, I don't have subscription for Apple Music. I'll come to AudioMac. try to search for this song, and I'll find out that it's on premium. Christian song is on premium.
Do you subscribe to premium?
I don't.
You don't? Okay, so
I should, but then when there are no resources for me to like subscribe at that moment.
No, I'm not even talking about you subscribing to premium or not. Do you know they make money from those stuff?
That is it. Why is it on premium?
I have massive respect for Pastor
TB Joshua.
No, Pastor Nathan Bassi.
Oh, that man.
I have massive respect for him. You know, Pastor Nathan Bassi foot all his bills.
He does. Do you used to join his Hallelujah Challenge?
I do, yes, very well.
Like
and
the transparency.
To think of the fact that he never even monetized his YouTube channel.
He never did.
So
it's free.
That is a perfect example, I think, to me, of this whole scenario of gospel ministers. Because if that man should monetize his YouTube channel, running over millions of streams every night for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks, as the case may be, do you know how many millions he will have been running into?
21 days, like
billions.
He's just an example.
But it's not. Then a gospel minister somewhere is now saying, before I come and minister to you for 1 hour, it's even up to 1 hour, 30 minutes ministration, as the case may be, you must do this, you must do this. I think also, excuse me.
Sorry.
I think also the case with Winners Chapel.
Winners Chapel, okay.
Yeah, I have massive respect for this church too. You know, for all their programs, Shiloh or whatever it is, they don't bring in gospel artists. They make use of the church choir. Wow. I've never seen any Shiloh that. That is
why I always respect. You know, this man, Pastor TB Joshua, that is late now. God bless his soul. That man is an example. I always look up to him. Do you know that man? Like, he was always being bashed because of his the way he gives, the way he lives his life. He does not like all this private jet stuff. Yeah. It's basically as if this man wears one type of outfit every Sunday. Why? Because he cares about other people's needs. He prioritizes other people's needs before his. Like, this man, like, when he was alive, he was an example. He was more like a philanthropist, a teacher.
Yeah.
Always setting examples. That's why many people didn't like him. Even till he's dead, they were still dragging him. They were. I don't know what you have to say about that.
I really don't know what our generation is turning into right now when it comes to gospel ministers. But let's even say, imagine Christ was in our generation today.
Okay.
And he walked into our church. And seeing all these things happening. Can you imagine the case when he walked to the synagogue and he saw people using it as business? Like,
that he had to whip them.
I think
imagine what he would do to us.
Some people will be receiving code, like wiping code. Because how will you feel that these are things you've taught, these are things you came to die for us, for basic things, that salvation, and then you have ministerial gifts that could also bring souls to Christ.
Everybody's claiming they do have that gift.
You know how many souls have been converted for some basic ministrations? And then most times, I just believe there's some kind of gospel ministers you see on stage that you just know this one, God did not send him.
But exactly, that's why it's written in
the
Bible that God said. And
they'll come up with this old gymnastic stuff of trying to make it more holy, more. Meanwhile, it's not even flowing from inside.
You know, God said
you have to perform because they've paid you.
Not everybody that is calling me father, of course, yeah. That he's going to deny a lot of people on that day. Let them just keep putting on the show. Well, everything is hidden under the name Christianity. They are forgetting.
May it never be our case,
Amen.
Please, dear Lord, save our soul. May it never be our case.
Amen.
Well, I think this actually brings us to the conclusion of our discussion today. Is that we might either not have done better if we had this calling as well. Okay. You know, say you are a gospel minister or a pastor. Probably you can become a pastor very soon. Maybe there's a calling. Go into the spirit.
I'm rooting for you.
Can you be rooting for me?
I know you're going to. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's section. We have talked about a lot, discussed a lot, and I believe that we've been able to gain one or two from what we've said here so far. So the truth still remains that the gospel isn't for sale. It is a gift, and as such, we believers, pastors, and ministers should see it as a responsibility to keep it pure and Christ-like. Thank you all for tuning in with us. I am Naomi and
I'm Julius.
Okay.